This was a great way to wrap up a story arc, at least in my opinion. Everything was done very well. There were some touching moments, and just overall awesome.
Naruto Chapter 33, Bridge of the Hero.
What a nice way to wrap up just a great arc, man, I tell you. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and adventure-filled and tear-jerking tale of Naruto. Our last chapter, of course, saw things really starting to wind down and wrap up, so to speak. In my opinion, Zabuza did a great job of really kind of redeeming himself. This antagonist that's been, just kind of hounding, hounding our heroes, I guess you would say, for the last, 20 or 25 chapters, this entire arc, and who you really thought was this despicable human being. Like I said, for me anyway, did a great job and went a long way in redeeming himself by, by obviously turning and with two two bum arms and nothing but a kunai in his mouth, going and taking and lopping off Gado's head. So that's how things left off, and that's where things pick up over here. We get a number of really cool revelations actually in this chapter, and although they wrap things up real nicely, it like I said, it was just done very well. Now the hired thugs that Gado had, starting out in this chapter are basically like, hey, you know what? Screw you guys, you forgot about us over here, First, though, there's a very nice and I thought a very touching moment that wound up happening where Sasuke is actually alive. Sasuke, I assumed that he would be alive only because I know and I've heard the name come up in the series, so it didn't hit me as hard when he was presumed to have died several chapters back. And that's really the only kind of spoiler, I guess you would say, that I've had, so it didn't evoke the same type of emotion, whereas I think my heartstrings would have been tugged on a little bit harder had I not heard the name Sasuke throughout the Naruto series, or at least being kind of a prominent front and center character. I didn't think that they would kill off in the first couple of dozen chapters. So nonetheless, though, as Sakura is over him and she's kind of leaning on him and crying, all of a sudden he kind of comes to, and it comes to, kind of looks almost like he comes back to life, and we find out that really what happened is because Sakura's like, oh, you survived a death blow, and he's like, no, I didn't. And what it was is this really goes to show you, it goes to show you, to me, and a testament to how people can live a certain way, but can really still be human and have a heart that's not hardened, I guess, to the world. Because Haku, Zabuza went, and right before he went on his little kamikaze run, he went and he had said, he goes, you all touched Haku's heart, you broke his heart, is I believe what he actually said. And what he meant by that is that Haku could not deliver a killing blow. So whatever blow it was that was delivered to Sasuke was only one of a paralysis, or at least almost like a feigned death. It looked as if he died, but he really didn't. And maybe just to evoke the emotion from Naruto, maybe just to appear for a few more minutes to his master, like he was actually doing his job. But ultimately, Sasuke isn't super powered yet to the point where at least that's how they explained it, where he didn't survive this killing blow. It was never a killing blow to begin with. So, but I thought it was still a very touching moment, and it was kind of funny because he's like, oh, your arm is heavy, because Sakura was kind of leaning on him, So anyway, so after that, we go and we get all the thugs, and they're like, hey, you forgot about us. Now that we're not going to get paid, because obviously Zabuza lopped off their, their employer's head, they're like, we're going to run through the town and loot and burn everything and steal and rape and pillage and whatever, right? And they're all getting ready and getting angry and about to go and move, and Naruto's like, can't we do something about this? And Kakashi's like, man, my chakra, between all the stuff that I've done, my chakra is exhausted here, And then I thought it was kind of cool, because all of a sudden it's like, reminded me of like the movie Braveheart or something like that, when you go and you get everybody rallying against the bigger force and what have you. And all of a sudden we go and we see at the other end of the bridge, we see, led by Inari, the little kid over there that, you didn't think much of, but certainly had a very troubled past with his father and everything else. But really this was great for him, because it was his turn at kind of redemption and almost at like revenge for losing his father. Gado had already been taken care of, but these thugs that were going to go and destroy his livelihood neighborhood in his village, he was able to somehow or another round up the villagers and get everybody to follow him, and they're out there with pitchforks and brooms and whatever else they got. They're like, you're gonna have to go through us first. So then Naruto goes and he does his shadow clone jutsu, and he's like, boom, and there's like 20 Narutos there too, right? And he's like, and then Kakashi's like, I can't muster a whole lot over here, but but I'm sure they're dumb enough that they'll fall for the the illusion, the smoke and mirrors type trick. So he goes and he's just like shadow clone jutsu. He's like Kakashi style, and there's like 50 Kakashis all across, and I'm like, oh hell yeah! And they're like, oh screw this, and they all go just take it off, So I thought it was definitely nice. And then really the next very touching moment for me anyway in the chapter came after that. Zabuza is actually still alive, just barely, and he's got all these knives and spears and stuff sticking out of him. Obviously both of his arms were broken from his fight with Kakashi or whatever, rendered useless. He did manage to get to Gato in time, but I mean not until he's got like, he literally looks like a pincushion, 10 or 20 blades sticking out of him. And he goes and he says Kakashi, he says to Kakashi, sorry, I can't talk today, still getting over the sickness over here. He says to Kakashi, he says, can you please, just put me next to him, let me look at him, and he's talking about Haku. And for me, that was the moment, man. I really started getting choked up and everything because he goes and he's laid out next to Haku and kind of looking at him and going and saying, I wish I could go to the same place that you could and everything else. But he feels in his heart that Haku, although following him and kind of doing the wrong things, that he did it for the right reason, for love. And, and obviously just for that love and that commitment to his master. And Haku just wanted to be loved, just wanted to be noticed. And I think Zabuza in his mind believes that Haku's going to go to, to the place upstairs, and that he's going to be going downstairs, obviously, for his, for his all, if you believe in the heaven and hell and those sort of things in the afterlife. And then it starts snowing. And I guess that the village that Haku was from was a snowy village, a cold winter village, and his spirit, it was just so pure, right? That it wound up causing it to snow in the middle of summer too, mind you, And like I said, I just thought it was really touching. I have trouble even talking about it without getting choked up and teary-eyed over here, but I try to keep my composure, for the reviews here. Just done very well. I thought it was done great. Can't wait to see it in the anime. I've only watched a few episodes so far because I've been wanting to make sure that I don't get caught up and go ahead by accident. But nonetheless, though, a very, very touching moment. And then we go and we see, afterwards, once all is said and done, it's a couple weeks later, we see the burial site, where Zabuza and Haku were buried, and, Zabuza's sword is stuck in the ground behind the cross and everything else, and they kind of go and they pay their respects. And again, I thought it was done very well, And then they all have a talk amongst themselves with Sakura and Sasuke, Naruto and Kakashi, about, do you really believe what he said about Shinobi are just tools and this and that? And Kakashi's like, well, yeah, yes and no. It's like that's kind of always the underlying thing, but we still walk our own path, or we like to believe that we walk our own path. Nobody wants to believe that they're just like a tool of destruction, that they're just something to be used and thrown away. And then Naruto goes and declares that he's going to go and walk his own path. I think he calls it a nimbo or something like that. He's like, I'm just going to create my own path, And they're going to go and they're getting ready to leave and everything like that. And there's a nice touching moment too between Inari and Naruto, where Inari's, Naruto says, you can cry if you want. And Inari's like, no, it's all right, you can cry if you want. And he's like, no, I'm fine, see ya. And he turns around and Inari's crying, and Naruto's got his back to him and he's crying. And Sakura's like, God, idiots, So, blockheads or whatever. So that wraps up the chapter. They wind up naming the bridge after Naruto, which I think was really nice. The bridge is complete, and obviously they've kind of saved the day, saved their land, and they're going to be on their way, back to their village. And that's really how things wrap up. I thought it was done very well. Naruto goes and he's of course excited to get back and get Master Iruka to buy him get Iruka to buy him some ramen noodles and just Konohamaru. He wants to tell him about his great shinobi adventures. But like I said, it was just a great way to wrap up what in my mind was a fantastic arc, and really only the tip of the iceberg because I have such a small body of work with Naruto. I haven't seen that much, but from what everyone has been telling me, messaging me in the comments and things like that, the best is yet to come. This is certainly a very, very great start, I think, to a series, and I'm certainly excited for the next arc, which I believe is the Chunin exam. So my chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is really what were your thoughts on this arc? For those of you that maybe have been longtime fans fans of Naruto, for those of you that that watched it in the anime or read it in the manga, I've heard that the anime is very powerful as well. The first part of the question would be, did you first read this arc in the manga, or did you watch it in the anime? And the second part is what were your overall thoughts on it? Maybe favorite moments, favorite character, favorite line, things like that. So leave your answer to those questions in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Oh, very good, very good. Remember to follow me over on my other channel and as well as the Facebook and the Twitter.